So okay, so what do you have going on this week? Anything big?
You know what? So for people who follow these videos, I'm releasing one where I interviewed this, and when I say that, I mean it quite literally.
Wait,
This
say
guy
that again.
lived
It
on
kind of cut out. Say that again.
a street rapper,
Mhm.
right? But I don't mean just someone who performs on the street. He does, but this guy was homeless in Dallas,
Yeah.
and I'm going to release that I think tomorrow on the channel, and then because one, it's an interview I've had for a bit and I want to get it out. Two, I've reconnected with him on Instagram, and so all proceeds from this video will go to him because he's still homeless, but now he's in Orlando.
Yeah.
Three, our nonprofit, the Periphery Foundation, is doing some things. So the amount of assets we've been growing is slowly but surely growing and growing. So now we've got, excuse me, like I don't want to say for sure, but it's it's like 15,000 kind of look at doing some things with. So we're going to start sponsoring a Native American
Say that number one more
podcast.
time. This internet's kind of killing us.
Yeah, it's been a little spotty, but just lately. We have some money. We're going to start sponsoring a podcast. I believe if things can, it's not official yet, but I think we're going to sponsor this podcast that's run on Native American reservations in Minnesota. That's where the groups are. The podcast, of course, will be just available to anyone, anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing a lot with that. We're doing more with the nonprofit. I had a great meeting with the board Monday, and we're probably going to hire a consultant to help us keep building, finding a good focus for what we want to do. And I've been talking more with some advocates for violence prevention in the inner city in Minneapolis. So things are going. I'm spending more time on this work now than what I had been doing on other stuff. And then the last thing I'll say is next week on Wednesday, I'm going to LA, and it's leisure. I have a friend out there, but while I'm there, I'm going to go visit Skid Row.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
So,
yeah.
I'll at least have, I think, some photos or video, just some footage of the area. I probably won't do any formal interviews, but I just got to check this area out because it's
going to be overwhelming.
There's a lot, right? It says a lot about American society. It says a lot about this one community and how it works, the conditions, the policy around it. Is there like any leadership? Because some of these homeless communities are so just entrenched that they have some kind of organization. So and then of course there's all the individual stories, but as the foundation looks to share stories and address the issue itself of homelessness, this is something that is going to be pretty valuable to go.
That's going to give
so that'll be next weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, stuff going on with the Periphery.
That's good.
How about yourself, Paul? How about yourself?
So last week, one of the things I do kind of on the side, just kind of for my own enjoyment, is I write music. I play the guitar and I write music. So I just finished putting together a collection of songs. I guess you call them an album, that I just posted on Bandcamp, and it's called "Celebrate the Wins." Because I think we focus so much on the losses or the things we need to do. Sometimes we don't ever just celebrate the small victories or the big victories.
We don't recognize
day to day. So
yeah.
I had this idea. It's like, you know what? I wrote this song called "Celebrate the Wins," and I want to carry that theme for a while in my own life. That when I do something good, not to just pat myself on the back, but to actually just.
Yeah,
I'm not good at celebrating the wins. I just kind of go into the next problem that needs solving. So I'm trying to just say, you know what, that's a win. I need to be happy, because what's the point if we can't enjoy the wins?
Yeah, so. Yeah. When I got 1 year sober, and I think 10 years, I had sponsors at the time say, do something, recognize it, right? And it isn't about ego or patting yourself or like I'm so good. It's about no, do something to recognize it. This is really cool, right? You deserve it. It's about just esteem, right?
Yeah.
Self-worth. Like, this is cool. Celebrate the wins. I really like that theme.
Mm-hmm.
I've started at the end of the day to like kind of look back on my day with a little bit of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back and I'll be like, wow, I didn't think I did much today, but I actually did a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So that's healthy too to do for me.
Celebrate the wins, man.
So
Celebrate
where
the
can we
wins.
listen to that?
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
We can throw a link on here, but it's just basically under my name, Paul Givens, and we'll throw a link. But it's just, and I have other music on there, but this is my most recent outpouring of music.
And what is it? Is it acoustic guitar, or piano?
Oh
or?
man, it's everything. It's guitar, and I of course put just kind of drum beats behind it, and I put a bunch of stuff. They're full sounding songs.
I actually didn't know all that. I've heard you play music, but I thought that am I wrong and remember it being just guitar?
That's what everything comes from, but I do all sorts with guitar, with drum. I add drums, don't play the drums. I add them. There's some keyboards, some different sounds that are made from my keyboard that are
good
on
for
there.
you.
But yeah, it's and there's a little bit of profanity. I'll say that off the jump. I just kind of said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do this thing," and kind of be boy, can almost be, you know, that term "act as if." I wanted to just be whatever, just be it. And listening to it, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I kind of just went for it because I can be kind of a little more modest in certain things. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna go for it. So I just went for it. And the first song is called Celebrate the Wins, and it's it kind of goes for it. And
is there a couple of fuck yeahs in it or something?
yeah. There's yeah. So listen to it. Maybe I get some feedback from you on it. But yeah, I'll send you. I'll just text you the link. But yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, it's kind of
that's good. We can play that music and not worry about a copyright strike.
Seriously, maybe, you know what? I'll put it on the end of I'll put that song on the end of this show.
Great.
I'll do that and
yeah, man.
Give a free listen to it. So anyway, but okay,
yeah, then put the link and all that.
What's that?
And then like put the link and all that, so people
yeah,
can
we'll incorporate it all in because I mean I do it for me. I don't really enjoy the process of trying to get people to listen to something I make. I kind of do it for my own sake, but it would be nice to have people listen. I just don't have the energy to or the drive to kind of focus on that part. I'd rather just keep on to writing the next song. Yeah. So
I admire that actually.
Yeah.
I tend to worry too much about how many people saw it, how many people liked it. You know, was it a hit?
Yeah. Well, and you know, I think I used to do that, but then I realized that I'm not a professional musician. This is stuff that I do by my own rules. And there's a lot of music that I write that I know that if I had a real person who knew kind of how music was supposed to be put together, they tweak this, change that. But if I did that, I might get one song good that people still probably wouldn't listen to and sacrifice 9 other songs because I didn't just do it my way. So for me, it's just the art that I do, and it's not perfect. It's kind of musically flawed, but I enjoy making it. And I prefer to just enjoy the process versus try to get people to appreciate the end product.
Yeah, I just love the creative state of sitting and creating, like, and I don't know if blissfully is over the top, but just really enjoying that.
There's nothing. The second you make it an obligation is the second it kind of it diminishes it. And for me, the music is something that writing is my first love. But writing like short stories, like novels or book, whatever. It takes time. It's a different process. It's work. Music for me is just pure creativity. Now at the end, at certain points, it becomes work because I've got to make it all, like the producing part of it. But the initial just creation, it's just pure joy, pure creativity. And that's the part that I'll empty my tank out. And then a few months later, 3 months from now, or whatever, depending on the season, it'll get full again and I'll have the energy to sit back down. This was actually something I did in December, and I finished 7 songs, and it was going to be called Tomorrow Comes Along. And I actually published it on Bandcamp, but it just felt incomplete. It didn't feel right. So I shelved it, which is something I never do. And I just let it sit there. And I waited a little bit. In the last month, I kind of got the tank just not full, but enough to go back. And that's when I wrote the song Celebrate the Wins, which became the the name of the album. So it was kind of the song I was waiting to find me. And I wrote, I think it was 3 or 4 songs I added. and they really set the tone. So I'm glad I
Uh,
waited. So from somewhere, tomorrow comes along, turns into Celebrate the Wins, and there we go. So anyway,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Humanity didn't start with that. That whole endeavor of creation, right? They hunted and gathered, and there were relationships, and there were raising kids and all this and that, and there was dealing with death and all that. But the idea of art and the creative process, like that's a part of the brain that has just, I don't know, been discovered. It's kind of like finance is a part of the brain, or exercising the brain in a way that we didn't have to do forever. And then in the last 10,000 years or however long money is around, now we're dealing with accounting and balance and what's fair and a marketplace. And like creating is like that to me. Like, suddenly we're writing symphonies. Is this a completed work? Is the painting done? Is this poem finished? Getting in that zone of letting it flow out of you. I
tend to think
what
that
a beautiful arm of humanity, though.
I think that the first human smile, the first time a human smiled, was kind of connected almost to the first time a human was capable of making art. It's like this extra, like you're not just surviving, you're finding joy in your existence. And I think art ties into art's a combination of freeing pain and finding joy. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just an expression. It doesn't have to be joyful. It can be cathartic to get out pain.
That all most of what I do, it always comes from this place of I'm working something out on the inside, and I'm just on a way. It's kind of purging myself of this thing, and it having to come out in this form, or purge myself of something inside of me that's not necessarily as bad, but it's just I just have to. I'm working it out, and it produces itself in art. And then I get to go on to the next thing. Like I've never written the same song twice, right? I've never written the same story. Well, I've never written the same song twice because I'm always working on a problem.
Yeah, I just love how it's always new. Like you don't really run out of ideas. Of course, like you said, like the well runs dry and you recoup for an album. And I've heard comedians say that too. They build up a bunch of material for a special. They give the special half hour, 1 hour, however long it is. And then, you got to go back and come up with all new material. So there are like cycles, seasons, but there's always more until our brains stop, right?
Yeah.
Until we're old and too old. Like it's what our brains do. It's amazing.
And once you make it part of your process, it becomes your process. The outlet of it's kind of like working out. If I don't sweat for a couple of days, I start feeling stagnant. If I don't do something creative, I feel stagnant. It's just part of my natural state. And if I don't do it, I kind of, it's debilitating in a weird way.
It becomes, I hate to say a need, but you see it like exercise where it's part of what keeps you healthy is to do so.
Yeah. And I realized a long time, like I used to just write music and I never finished it. I'd kind of constantly just keep wanting to make it perfect and one of this. And then at a certain point, I realized I just need to move on to the next thing because it's just keeping me kind of stuck in this same place. So Bandcamp is this thing where you just basically upload your music and you can send a link to a person, they can listen to it. And once I started doing that, it allowed me to say, this is done. Not to say I don't ever go back and maybe there's something that bugs me, I'll tweak it or whatever.
That's the thing too. You need a definitive end.
It's done. Yeah. And that allows me to just freely move on to the next thing, which I move on to the next thing, and then it's done. And then so this thing I did, Celebrate the Wins, that chapter's now done. And I'm gonna see what the next motivation is. It was funny, the thing the album I released before that, I was thinking about this the other day, it was called The Night Always Wins, which has a lot more of a darker tone, kind of what we started off on 40s and death and this and that, getting older. I kind of have this idea that, in the end, the night always wins. And to think that I just naturally came around to the next one being Celebrate the Wins, it says something about my internal, without doing it consciously, I was in this place where I kind of was more of like, fuck it, man. You know, the sun always sets, man. But then this one, it's like, well, the sun always also rises, always rises. So
it's a neat,
right.
it's a neat, really story of your life told through your music. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all there, but I'll put, like I said, I'll put the song underneath or on this somehow.
Well,
But
thanks for mentioning that. That's a great thing to.
probably should have mentioned it earlier on before we got to the hour 45 mark, hour and a half.
No. This was a great way to finish.
Yeah. So let's wrap it on up.
And we can go out with your music now too.
Yes, that's what we'll do.